Black Booktube is. And when I think about that, I just think community. I think about connection because it's a way to share the love of reading and expand our worldviews and learn through reading. Hey everybody, I'm Kris Jayne. Welcome to my channel. I live in the Dallas area. I'm going to say the Dallas area because if you're not from Texas, you're not going to know the city that I live in. I live in the city in the North Dallas suburbs, but I'm just going to say Dallas. And the people who live in Dallas who get mad when you say that but don't actually live in Dallas will have to get over it. I'm excited to finally be doing this because I haven't posted on my YouTube channel in forever. But if you're into reading, and especially if you love romance, this is the right place. I read romance, I write romance, I also read cozy mystery, women's historical fiction, all kinds of things. And I'm also a writer. I write steamy contemporary romance. And I'll definitely talk about my own writing journey and some of my own books in future videos. Right now, a little bit about my kind of reading habits. So I read so much that I've stopped buying physical books for the most part. I'll buy an occasional physical book, but I have run out of room. I also was like an English major in college and went to grad school for literature. So I have so many books stacked up in my office where I have all my bookcases. I finally, a few years ago, went to Half Price Books and sold like a bunch of nobody needs the collected works of Shakespeare 9 times over or Norton anthologies and all that kind of stuff that you get when you are in old school. In grad school and things like that for literature. I got rid of all that stuff. So I pretty much stick to ebooks now. I have my e-reader actually here. It's a books tablet. It's where I put all my books. I also use it to write notes and things like that because it has a stylus and stuff with it. But what I love about that e-reader is I don't have to just have Amazon because I try to read wide, not just getting books off of Amazon. So I can have my Amazon books, Google Books, Kobo, which is usually where I buy my books, is from Kobo, and all the things except Apple, because Apple doesn't play well with others. But I have all the reading apps. I also have my Libby app because I'm one of those people who's on like 5 different library cards. So I can access as many libraries as possible for all the books that I want to check out because I also cannot afford to buy all the books that I love. But the books tablet is like a Kindle Paperwhite on steroids, and I love it. So part of this circle that we're doing with a bunch of other Black Booktube creators is talking about Black Booktube, and we're supposed to complete this sentence. Black Booktube is, and when I think about that, I just think community. I think about connection because it's a way to share the love of reading and expand our worldviews and learn through reading. There's a big thing going on Threads right now with a bunch of people talking about, should people use big words in books and should books be this way? Should books be that way? And I just think books should be all the kinds of ways because the whole point is to learn things and expand, including our vocabulary. But that is a separate topic. So I just really want to connect with other Black authors and Black readers and just everybody in the bookish community who's interested in how we can expand our minds through reading and books. Another question that we are answering with the Black Booktube is, if I could have dinner with any Black author, living or dead, who would I pick? And I decided Toni Morrison, and I know this may be an obvious choice because everybody loves Toni Morrison, but I just think her books have such incredible emotional impact. And also, I always think about how when I was in grad school, I got assigned to write, kind of break down and deconstruct a piece of literary criticism. And Toni Morrison wrote a book called Playing in the Dark, which talks a lot about Blackness in literature and in literary criticism. And it's a very interesting book if you are interested in kind of more academic kind of literary stuff. It's called Playing in the Dark. And so I was going to write it on that. And I had a professor who said to me, that is more imaginative and not really structured literary criticism. And he actually told me I needed to pick another book. And I was young at the time, and I did pick another book. Today, I probably would have said, no, this is the book I picked, and you can fail me, whatever. I don't give a whatever. That's the book I picked. You would think a guy with a PhD in literature could have, been better at spotting irony, but he was not. But I would pick probably Toni Morrison to have dinner with. 3 book recommendations that kind of capture my literary taste. This is hard because I mentioned I read so many different books, and in any given day, my taste might shift. So like today, asking that question, I would say there's a book by Adriana Herrera called A Caribbean Heiress in Paris that I really love. I love that whole series. There's 2 books out in that series. In fact, I think there's one that's coming out this summer. I love that book. I love Paris, which is a whole other topic. That's one of the places I'm going this summer. And so, yeah, a Caribbean Heiress, American Paris is a different book. A Caribbean Heiress in Paris is one book. A second one kind of takes me back to my grad school kind of academic days. I always loved The House of Mirth by Edith Wharton because I'm a big fan of like American realism. And that's kind of a throwback literary English major choice. And then a third book, like in contemporary romance that I really loved was The Wedding Date by Jasmine Guillory. I love all her contemporary romances, and The Wedding Date is like a good place to start. But like I said, I read a little bit of everything. I love cozy mysteries, women's fiction, all sorts of things. I love self-help books. I'm a big fan of tarot and like witchy woo stuff. So like another book that I just got the other day was this book, Working the Roots by Michele Lee. It's kind of a mix of, not really grimoire. She went and interviewed a bunch of root workers in the South about kind of their traditions, their history, their lives, their practices, and all that kind of stuff. So the first part of the book is just a bunch of interviews with various people. A lot of them, I think she might be from the Carolinas. So a lot of them are from like the Carolinas and that like far east of the American South. But it also has like an index of plants and their traditional uses and kind of the history of their use in American root working, in voodoo and hoodoo and all that kind of stuff. So that's a really interesting book. So what can you expect from my channel moving forward? I mean, I'm a reader and a writer, so it'll be a mix of both kinds of things, my journey in both. I'll talk about my books, other people's books. I probably will occasionally drop in some witchy woo stuff. I mentioned cozy mystery. I write romance, but I've been sitting on this cozy mystery idea that has like some magical realism elements. And once I finish my next romance, I plan to start my cozy mystery stuff. So I'll probably talk a little bit about that series that I have planned once those books are underway. I'll probably also talk about like movies and TV because I just think all this media is interrelated. Also, I just saw Yumi in Tuscany the other day and I have some thoughts. Mainly that Halle Bailey looks to be about 12. And I don't know if it's me or in the fact that I'm getting old, but I was like, God, she's too young. I'm like, where are your parents? That probably is because I'm like an old lady now. But thank you so much for watching my first video in a very long time. Let me know down in the comments what you're currently reading. Hit the subscribe button, and I will see you in the next one.